how many need to die before Spencer finally gets home? Keep watching to find out. Episode 3 left plenty of loose ends. Did Spencer ever make it home? He's seen enough horror to be hardened against the trauma of losing a friend, but Luca was the one person who stood by him when no one else did. It was a nerve-wracking journey, but Spencer will survive. Probably. But after all this time, what really happens when he finally returns? He's endured brutal travels, con artists, rapists, and even murderers. But can he face the ranch's enemies, who are just as ruthless as the wolf that devoured the nurse? What I am not sure about is Dr. Miller's master plan to drill a hole in Zane's head. As if Montana's brutal winters weren't already enough to nearly kill him and his family from hypothermia, now the doctor wants to introduce some medieval brain surgery into the mix. We are still several episodes away from coming to a conclusion, but episode 4 finally progresses the story forward, with enough murders to last a lifetime. If episode 3 peeled back the layers of hardship, episode 4 plunges us into the heart of the storm. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. 1923 has largely focused on Spencer's journey, deep explorations of discrimination, and Tiana's struggles. But episode 4 shifts gears, laying the groundwork for the conflict that will ripple through generations, right into Yellowstone. The battle over the ranch has always been about more than just land. It's about power-hungry forces eager to turn it into a commercial gold mine. While these themes have been present, episode 4 pinpoints the exact moment and method by which it all began. If you watch the later parts of Yellowstone, you know how fiercely Beth and Rip oppose the idea of turning the ranch into a tourist attraction. Beth even resented her father for refusing to commercialize it, not because she wanted to, but because it was the only way to save it. That tension was powerful, and seeing Whitfield twist something as simple as skiing into a money-making scheme feels painful. Remember how, in earlier episodes, Whitfield was fascinated by those men gliding across the snow? You don't need to pay to ski down a mountain. It's just a part of life, right? In 1923, we witness the exact moment when a man like Whitfield sees profit, whereas others see simple joy. Now, it seems simple. Block off the land with the best snow and charge people to ski. Easy money. But here's the catch. That land belongs to the Duttons. Not that Whitfield ever cared about that. If anything, it only gives him more reason to get rid of Jacob Dutton and his family. Except his right-hand man has had a bit of an awakening. Let me take a moment to remind my new viewers to hit the subscribe button to show support. If you're enjoying the video so far, drop a like and turn your notifications on to never miss another 1923 recap. Now, back to the breakdown. For most of Season 1 and the start of Season 2, Banner Creighton has been nothing more than Whitfield's attack dog, but now he's finally starting to feel like his own character, one with actual depth. Whitfield is still the main villain, no doubt, but Banner is being pushed to his limits. He's no longer just fighting for power, he's being ordered to kill without hesitation, without reason. I loved how his character progressed. I mean, we all hated him in Season 1, but it turns out he may not be a terrible guy after all. He was simply protecting his family. But now even Banner is confused if his reasons are good enough to warrant murder. It doesn't help that he no longer trusts Whitfield. If you ask me, I'd say Banner would most likely dump Whitfield and would not carry out his orders to create an army to wipe out the Duttons. Why? Because of what we have seen in Yellowstone. Prequels often struggle with keeping the stakes high when the audience already knows how things turn out. We've seen Yellowstone. There's no ski resort or airport in the Duttons' backyard, which makes Whitfield's entire scheme feel pointless before it even begins. There was clearly a pivot, and maybe this is 1923's version of the Bridger Bowl origin story. For those who don't know, Bridger Bowl is the ski resort outside of Bozeman, Montana. When Dr. Miller mentioned a drill in episode 3, I hoped he was being metaphorical. Surely he won't be using an actual drill to poke a hole in Zane's head. Well, I would recommend not watching episode 4 while you're eating, because Sheridan doesn't shy away from showing painful medical practices post-World War I. I mean, all doctors used the said drill, according to Dr. Miller, but it was used when the patient was unconscious. Zane, however, was very conscious. The solution? Chloroform. Yep, exact chemical thieves use before they rob you. It has to be quite powerful, right? Turns out it's not. In true 1923 fashion, things don't go smoothly. Zane wakes up mid-surgery as Miller drills into his skull. Jacob and Jack hold him down while the doctor extracts the fluid from his brain. Compared to Elizabeth's injection tantrum, this scene feels like hell itself. But, you know what? I have to give it to Dr. Miller. He's quite good at his job. Bandaged and barely steady on his feet, Zane is relieved to feel the pressure finally gone. Jack praises the doctor, but Miller admits he didn't think the procedure would even work. Just another day on the Dutton Ranch, where survival is never guaranteed. It's a brutal reminder of how crude medicine was back then, even for a man as skilled as Dr. Miller. This moment also speaks volumes about Zane's resilience. He barely flinches once the procedure is done, shaking off what should have been a near-death experience, like it was just another chore on the ranch. The endless cycle of Spencer's travels is starting to feel more exhausting than compelling. He's fought rapists, watched his friend die, and made a deal with the devil himself. What more can they throw at him? The answer? More murder. But at this point, it's neither shocking nor impressive. His constant detours aren't intriguing anymore. They're just frustrating. Brandon Sklenner delivers an incredible performance, but it feels wasted on these time-filler plotlines. Audiences already know Spencer will do anything to get home, yet every new obstacle makes them question if they even care anymore. Alexandra's journey, on the other hand, still holds weight. Her struggles feel like true moments of perseverance, shaping her into a stronger character from the sheltered socialite we first met in Season 1. I thought Alexandra's physical examination was as bad as it could get, but nope. Sheridan had another gut punch waiting in Episode 4. While she's using the restroom at the railway station, the tension builds toward a possible robbery, but I honestly didn't think it would actually happen. So, when the creepy man forced his way in and physically assaulted her, my jaw hit the floor. But that's not even the worst part. She's now completely broke and almost missed her train. In her own words, he took everything. The only silver lining is that her journey is nearing its end, so she may not need much money to get by. But the loss that stings the most, the thief also stole her friend's bracelet, a piece with deep emotional value. It's a brutal reminder that in Sheridan's world, survival isn't just about making it to the next destination, it's about what you lose along the way. It's a whole different story. Alexandra lost a necklace, and Spencer lost his friend. But a loss is a loss. At least they still have each other. Thankfully, she was able to run and jump on the train at the very last second, only to complete a walk of shame through the first-class car with her beaten face and ripped clothing. It reflected such a juxtaposition from her past life prior to meeting Spencer to her present circumstance. But she walked on with her head held high, knowing that it has all been for love. Elizabeth and Alexandra's stories are far more compelling at this point. Turns out, Elizabeth's tantrums over the injections weren't just about the pain, they were fueled by pregnancy hormones. I called it. I knew this was something to do with a new pregnancy. The story lined up too perfectly for it not to be. Even though she's not officially married to a Dutton yet, she's already embracing the legacy. But will this news be enough to solidify her place within the family, or will it make her second-guess everything? That remains to be seen. For now, the pregnancy is a rare moment of joy on the ranch. But with Whitfield's growing ambitions, it also paints a new target on the Duttons. A child means another heir to the land, another reason to fight, and, most importantly, another weakness for Whitfield to exploit. If history has taught us anything, it's that a Dutton's greatest joy often comes at the cost of their greatest pain. Tiana was faced with reality in this week's episode as she saw the wanted flyer with the reward for her capture, and her moment of peace in this story seems to be coming to an end. We'll learn more about Tiana's journey in the next episode, but for now, there's an interesting possibility brewing. Spencer is closer to home than ever, and Tiana happens to be in the same area. Could their paths cross? If so, how will this meeting unfold? Spencer may be hardened by war and survival, but we've seen his softer side. Could he be the bridge that finally offers Tiana a place to belong? But here's the catch. Yellowstone has already shown us that the Rainwaters and the Duttons don't exactly have a peaceful history. So if Tiana does end up with the Duttons, what happens between now and then that turns their relationship into generations of conflict? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're as eager as I am to find out what happens next, hit the bell icon to get a notification when I post Episode 5 breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like to show support. And finally, make sure you have subscribed to the channel for more Yellowstone content.